The first thing we did then in Ontario was to begin to hire some people from the school districts. We refer to them as student achievement officers. We created 8 teams of people, and each team had a superintendent, somebody who supervised principals and teachers, so that when they were deployed across Ontario, according to the existing geographical areas, then they were the ones who were going to work directly with schools. They were not going to be supervisors, they were not going to be inspectors. Our mandate was capacity building, and I worked very hard to keep a very narrow focus so that schools then were not afraid of us. We were not there to instill fear, but I can tell you everyone knew that failure was not an option. We wanted to improve. We wanted to have a process that was both top-down and bottom-up. And how did we do this? In the first 6 months, with all the monies that I had, I gave most of our money out to the schools to stimulate innovative practices. We only took enough money to pay our staff and, to produce documents and webcasts and so on. But most of it, we used it to have the schools identify projects that they felt, after they have looked at the issues collaboratively, that those would indeed improve achievement. And that was quite deliberate, to say, now you get together with your school communities, with your school councils, as an entire staff, look at the things you do well, and then look at the things that needed to improve, and give us a one-page proposal. That was a major change that we instituted, because people are often bogged down with paperwork, and we didn't want that. So give us a one-page proposal with the issue at hand, what you want to do about it, and what it will cost, and how it will be evaluated, because we wanted the faculties of education with the professors there to help them with the evaluation of these projects. We have documented well over 300 innovative projects that came from the school based on their expressed needs. Now, that was quite a strategic move on our part, because we didn't want to start off by saying everyone must do A, B, C, D, E. We wanted to give them an opportunity first to improve. The next set of monies that I had, I said, now there are 4 areas in which I would like everyone to put proposals together. Things like differentiating instruction, because people were not using their smaller class sizes to their benefit. Leadership development was another. And so we kept on then narrowing the focus. At first, they chose the initiatives. The second tier was, here are 4 areas that are needed in the system. And by the time we got to the third set of monies that we were giving our schools from the Secretariat, we then zeroed in on the low-performing schools. Let me backtrack for a moment. The Secretariat had 9 key strategies. They had to do with areas like all schools had to set ambitious targets, and we helped them with it. All schools had to have a school improvement team, a regional school improvement team, and one at the district level. They had to focus on the class size initiatives of the government, which was to have no larger classes than 20 to 1 in the primary division. For us, primary is grades 1 to 3. Capacity building in a systematic way was, I'd say, the area that ran throughout our strategy. Building capacity at the school level in order to bring about change. There was a focus on equity of outcomes for students. In other words, we ensured that all students, regardless of the exceptionality, regardless of special education needs, regardless of where they were from, we wanted them to be a part of our testing, the provincial testing. it would have been easy for some people to hide away this special education, the students in special ed programs. But we felt if we wanted an equitable system, then all students must be taught so that they could compete. And we're glad we insisted on that, because we have now emerged as one of the places in the world in which we are not only raising the bar for all students, but closing the gap for those who traditionally were not successful. So that's another of the strategies was the whole issue of engaging parents and community. I talked about that at one of my talks last night. That was very important. Mobilizing the community to support learning, and with all that that means. Then the whole issue of providing evidence-based inquiry. We wanted our teachers to be steeped in research-informed practice and decision-making. And to do this, I would invite you to look at our websites in Ontario, where you would see monographs on any topic that came from our teachers. And we asked the faculty professors to write just short monographs so that teachers could have research information on any topic that they brought forward. The importance of nonfiction writing, differentiated instruction, you name it, student self-assessment. So I hope you will go to that website and just download. I brought copies so people looked at them here, but just download some of those capacity building initiatives. They're called What Works series. We also had webcasts. Every month we had a different webcast, but they were archived so that teachers could, from any part of Ontario, at any time of the day, download these webcasts, which would help them in terms of building their capacity. They may want to know how do we include students with behavior problems? How do we conduct a shared reading lessons? So all of those webcasts, which we did jointly with Curriculum Services Canada. So if you want to download any of those webcasts, the email address is www.curriculum.org, and you look for the Literacy and Numeracy Secretariat and download those webcasts. They are very popular with teachers because it helps with the individualization of learning based on the needs of teachers. And the last of our strategy was the whole area of international comparability, helping people to understand that we're no longer just working within our own schools and settings, but we had to benchmark ourselves against some of the best performing schools in the world. And that helped people to understand that we are now in a very different mode of reform, where we're comparing ourselves with others, whether we wanted to or not, because that's what the public wanted.